It feels like every single day there's a new AI tool popping up, promising to completely change how we work. And the pace is, well, it's incredible. It's exciting for sure. But if we're being honest, it can also be a little unsettling, right? We talk a whole lot about the technology, the efficiency, the productivity boosts. But what about the human side of all this? What's the hidden cost of this constant, relentless change on us, the people who actually have to use these tools every single day? Okay, let's really get into it.
Take a look at this number. One study, cited in the paper we're looking at today, projects that this is the percentage of jobs in China that could be affected by AI in just 15 years. Now that is a massive, massive scale of change. And it's numbers like this that are creating this powerful undercurrent of anxiety in workplaces everywhere.
So that brings us to the real question. What does this actually do to us? How does this shadow of AI impact our motivation, our engagement, and that spark we call work passion? Well, a recent study in the journal Acta Psychologica decided to find out, and what they found revolves around this one core idea they call AI anxiety. And look, this isn't just some vague feeling of being nervous. The researchers define AI anxiety very, very specifically. It's really a mix of concern and fear that comes from two main things. One, the worry that your job might just become obsolete, and two, the stress of having to constantly learn and master new, always changing technology.
But what's really fascinating is that the research breaks this down even more. See, AI anxiety isn't just one big blob of worry. It actually has two distinct faces, two totally different sources of stress that hit us in pretty unique ways.
So on one hand, you've got the fear of job replacement. This is that straightforward, nagging question in the back of your mind, will a machine eventually do what I do? But on the other hand, you have the stress of constant learning. Think of it like a technological treadmill, that feeling that you have to keep running faster and faster just to stay in the same place.
To make this super clear, the study used questions just like this one to measure that job replacement anxiety. It's that big picture, societal concern that a lot of us feel when we see the headlines about what AI can do.
And for the learning anxiety, they use statements like this one. This really captures that feeling of being totally overwhelmed, like the finish line for learning new tech just keeps moving further and further away no matter how fast you run. Sound familiar?
Okay, so we've got these two kinds of anxiety, but how do they actually kill our passion for what we do? Well, the study found a really critical link, a kind of bridge that connects that fear directly to a loss of motivation. And that bridge, it turns out, is burnout.
Now, to explain this, the researchers bring up something called the conservation of resources theory. The easiest way to wrap your head around it is to just imagine your emotional energy as a phone battery. We are all basically hardwired to protect our resources, and we feel stress the most when we feel those resources, like our energy, just draining away.
And this lays out the process perfectly. First, that AI anxiety shows up, and it acts like an app running in the background, constantly draining your battery. This worry depletes your emotional resources, leading straight to what we all know as emotional exhaustion, or burnout. And finally, when your battery is totally flat, you just have no energy left to power your passion for work. It just fades out.
So, if you take one thing away, it's this. Burnout isn't just some unfortunate side effect here, it's the central mechanism. It is the direct path that transforms the fear of AI into just apathy and disengagement from a job you might have once loved. Okay, I know that sounds pretty bleak, but the research doesn't just stop there. In fact, probably the most valuable part of this whole study is that it also found two really powerful countermeasures, two buffers that can protect us and our teams from this whole negative cycle. So what can we actually do about all this? The good news is, the research points to two powerful shields we can use. One comes from our leaders, and the other is one we can actually build for ourselves.
The first shield is something called service-oriented leadership. And this isn't just about being a nice boss. It's a very specific style where leaders actively put their employees' growth and well-being first. They provide real, tangible support and focus on serving their team's needs to help them succeed. And here's where the research gets really interesting and specific. This leadership style isn't some general cure-all. It was found to be especially powerful at weakening the link between the fear of job replacement and burnout. Basically, when you feel like your leader is genuinely invested in your future, that fear of being replaced starts to lose its power. The second shield is a personal one. It's all about developing a learning goal orientation. This is a mindset where you start to see challenges not as threats, but as chances to grow. It's about being genuinely excited to learn new skills and truly believing that your abilities aren't set in stone. They can be developed with effort.
And, just like with leadership, the study found a really precise connection here. This mindset is the perfect antidote to learning anxiety. When you can reframe the need to learn a new AI tool as a chance to level up your own skills, that pressure transforms from a threat into a motivator, stopping burnout before it even gets a chance to start.
All right, so with all this, we can now build a really practical playbook. This is the "what do I do on Monday morning" part of the explainer, and it's for both leaders and employees. For leaders, your playbook is all about creating psychological safety. Instead of just rolling out new tech and saying good luck, your job is to serve your team through the change. That means being totally transparent about how AI is going to complement their roles, not just get rid of them, and then proving you're invested in their career path inside the company.
And for us, as employees, the power is in shifting our own mindset. This means actively reframing every new intimidating AI tool not as a burden, but as a resume builder. That pressure to learn doesn't have to be a source of stress. It can actually be the single best motivator for guaranteeing your own career growth.
So, when you boil it all down, the real takeaway from this research is crystal clear. Getting AI right in the workplace isn't just about having the best software or the most data, it's about managing the psychology of change. It is, fundamentally, a human challenge. Which leaves us with one final, really important question to think about for our own workplaces. As AI keeps rolling out, is your organization more focused on managing the technology, or is it focused on managing and supporting its people through the transition? The answer to that question might just determine everything.